All right, Drew, it's spring. It's here. Official.
What?
I mean, not
What do you mean?
officially the first day of spring, but for me at least, it's spring when the peepers show up. The little frogs that just sing. We're on this big hill off a lake, and there's a pond bog area back there, and the place just erupts with sound. Like at night when you step out the door, the whole woods is just humming with this high-pitched peeping sound. So that happened this week. So I declare this spring. It has started.
I appreciate you with that proclamation, and it's not here. So to our 4 listeners out there, we are coming to you from the kind of upper Midwest region. And what Brant just talked about, these little frogs come out. And they're called spring peepers. And to this entire geographical location, it is the quintessential sign of spring. It's at
Absolutely.
dusk. All of a sudden, you get these little things that come out of the lowlands and the pond areas of the upper Midwest, and it is just a true sign of spring. And with that, Brant, in the evenings, because it's the evenings, it's warmer.
Yep.
Boy, there is nothing better than just cracking that window and falling asleep to the sound of the peepers.
No, that is the best. Having those windows open at night, having some fresh air in. And yeah, it is geographically a thing, right? Where we've been enduring cold weather all winter, and it's finally that time when the sun is coming up a little earlier and staying up a little later, and we're taking notice, right?
So with this podcast, my friend, you want to start to pick apart the sounds of spring?
From conversations to the natural world to complete silence, so many of us focus on what's next rather than what is happening now. I'm Listening is a podcast that dissects the importance of listening.
I'm Drew Richmond.
And I'm Brant Christofferson.
And this is I'm Listening, a podcast simply about the skill of listening.
Sounds of spring. So I mentioned the peepers already. Other sounds that come to mind for me are the rainstorms that come through when it starts to rain again. Not just rain, but it's the thunder and the lightning that we haven't heard in months.
Crack of the thunder. Months. Like 6 months.
Yeah.
No rain. It's been snowing, you get the misty stuff, but that first spring thunderstorm.
There's nothing like it. Usually end up opening the front door, and our front porch area is covered, and we'll stand out there on the front porch and listen to that sheets of rain coming in and the thunder and the lightning. And there's nothing like it. But that is definitely a first sign of spring. What about you? What's another
Love it.
good sign of spring for you?
Oh man, we live in a pretty windy spot, but that cold Arctic north breeze and wind that happens throughout the winter where we live, it just starts to subside a little bit. It starts to go away and it starts to shift, and you just get these nice spring breezes. And you can just hear it, especially if you have the windows open for the first time in 4 or 5 months. You can just hear it. And it's gentle. It's not the Arctic cold, nasty wind. It's a nice spring breeze. It's usually a little bit warmer. There's some humidity that comes in with it for the first time. We're so dry in the wintertime. You get some humidity coming through. But man, there's just listening to that breeze start to come through. And then you get the buds on the trees and the flowers. So they start to pick up that breeze a little bit more. So you get to hear the rustle of those new leaves and those, man, it rejuvenates me. I love it. It's the breeze of spring.
mentioned a couple things there from just the feel of it is warmer. There's maybe more humidity. There could be different smells that come with that as well. The flowers that happen in the spring.
Yeah.
The other thing for me too are all the birds that are migrating through. I geek out. Like, I'm not a birder per se, but when spring hits,
are you a bird nerd?
I notice
You're
when
a
they're
bird
coming
nerd,
through.
aren't you?
Oh my gosh. I will notice, right? The first robin showed up last week.
Yep.
The first red-winged blackbird showed up last week. And sometimes I'll see him first and sometimes I'll hear him. I don't know, something about those birds coming back north again and moving through. That's always fun. Our bluebird came back early this year. The male bluebird comes first and usually gets a nest set up. And they're really territorial and they want to kind of defend their area. They also don't know the difference between another male bird and their own reflection. So he is constantly fighting with his own reflection in my windows. The one window he likes, he shows up every morning, sits on the railing of our deck right off our kitchen, and just like taps on the window. And so every morning he says, "Good morning" to me, and then he poops all over. And then if my car's outside, he'll go and perch on the mirror of my car and poop all over my car.
Where we live, we get cranes that come here.
Oh, yeah.
Unique sound. They sound like dinosaurs and are very prevalent in the summertime. But, man, when that first crane flies over, and you can hear, usually they're in pairs, and you can hear them. It is a very prevalent first sound that spring is coming. So yeah, that we get the cranes, but yeah, just the sound of birds. It just, in the fall, I don't feel that I hear them go away, but in the spring I hear them arrive.
Yeah, absolutely. What other sounds of spring, or what else do you notice that happens this time of year for you?
Well, it fades away from nature a little bit, and I get some of that, but man, I cannot help the nostalgic feeling of that first crack of the bat, the ball hitting the mitt, the sounds of baseball. The sounds of baseball for me are a huge aspect of spring. That rejuvenating feel of spring when the pitchers and catchers report. You know, I get it that they're in Arizona, and to all of our listener in Arizona, we're a little jealous of you. You get that February, March feel. But man, when they come back north and fill up the stadiums in April and March, that's a true sign of spring. Beyond just the major leaguers too. It's pulling out the mitts and the balls and going out into the front yard and getting warmed up for the season too. Whether it's his catcher, you're actually putting it together. Softball season, baseball season. That is a true sound of spring for me. So let's get into these other senses a little bit, because I think the other thing that comes with that feel of the breeze and that feel of, you know, the sound of the rain and all of that is the smell. It's the smell of spring. Yeah. Winter has this blanket of snow and everything's dry in that sense in the air and everything's dampened. But boy, once that snow melts away and that warmer breeze comes through, you get all kinds of new smells. Mm-hmm. Some of them are amazing. Some of them are really bad.
Like you were talking about the flowers blooming and having that fragrance. I think of grass, like when the grass finally is grown in, or that first mow, that smell coming through is amazing.
Yeah. I worked at the Gap. Pause for audience applause there, and good and shot.
He's really good at folding shirts, by the way.
Yeah.
This is a skill set.
This is the late 90s, early 2000s. I worked at the Gap at the mall. I'll explain to you what a mall is later. They had a fragrance that was called grass, and it did not smell like marijuana. It smelled like fresh cut grass.
Really?
And you could spray that on yourself and walk around in public.
Oh.
I don't know how much of a great seller it was, but it sure as shit smelled like fresh cut grass.
That's better than smelling like the spreader out in the farm field right now.
Yeah, poo smells bad, and especially large quantities of cow manure. That is definitely a smell of spring, especially in these rural areas where the farmers start to fertilize their fields in preparation for a growing season.
Yeah, you talk about wanting to have your windows cracked open in the spring to get that fresh air in, and there's nothing that makes you want to close the windows quicker than when the wind starts blowing your direction from the farm field. You're like, oh, here we go. And yep,
that's it. We'll go ahead and close that up and try it again tomorrow. But that's all part of it, right? Because then you get delicious food from that. So that's...
Wait, my food comes from the cow shit?
I'll explain it to you later.
Okay.
But yeah, even driving around, right? So you go for that drive and all of a sudden your windows are down in your car and it's like, whew, they're out spreading the poo. And then, of course, the good things that also smell good are the flowers and those spring flowers that come up. And around it, we've planted a lot of tulips. I don't know if they smell good, but they look great. But you just get that earthy smell and you get the flowers that are starting to bloom. And it's just, I don't know, it's a whole nother sense that is rejuvenated at that springtime.
We've got a tulip festival over here in Michigan, in Holland, Michigan, of all places.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but
that makes a lot of sense.
Thousands and thousands and thousands of tulips. So we go when we can in the spring, but they also sell the tulip bulbs that they plant there every year, and we've got a ton of those in our yard. So it's fun to watch those pop up.
Yeah. It's that nice early spring flower that just brings color into your life. And speaking of color, I want to talk about this sense as well, because again, we've got snow. It's a white, it's a gray, long winter season. And then the snow starts to melt and you're kind of left with this brown. But all of a sudden, after one rain or after a little bit of sunshine, the color green starts to come back into your life, and that look of the green grass, the look of the green buds on the trees, the flowers, the early flowers that are popping up on the ground. So now you get this green, and I think there's some science behind that, but that color green rejuvenates you too and gets you excited for the next thing. So this is now we've got the look of spring too, which is just the greening of our environment.
Yeah, I never really thought of, again, growing up north, of spring being a colorful time, but yeah, where I am now, there are almost just as many colors as I would get in the fall. Just looking out the window right now, we've got this big willow tree across the street that is bright spring green. Buds on the maple trees are bright red. Just a lot of cool colors that are popping up out there.
It's good for the soul, man. It's good for the soul.
Yeah, and I think that's why we're talking about this too. It's good for the soul.
It is.
It's why we're talking about it, because it is that it's just, I don't know, like you said, it's just kind of rejuvenating, brings life back into us. Get outside. Go enjoy the baseball game or the smell of the grass or, yeah, I don't know, get out there.
Man, the time change occurred just recently, and I'm out grilling burgers just because it's a little bit lighter outside. Go outside, take a minute. Doesn't matter what your environment is. Find a park, find a table, find a tree, find a whatever it is. Take in some of those sounds of nature that are now back. Or maybe that have just, maybe not that they were gone, but they've evolved. Maybe it's new sounds in your spring season, wherever you are. And enjoy it. Just take a minute. You don't have to sit out there for 4 hours. You can sit out there for 10 minutes, man.
I did this morning.
taking that deep breath and
yeah. Had my cup of coffee on the back porch.
and how long were you out there?
20 minutes. Yeah.
Right. And it changes your perspective on things, and it's fantastic.
We often tie this back into some kind of skill set. And this doesn't so much, like you were saying before, have a skill set. Is more about just that enjoyment of it. But I'll tell you what, after 20 minutes outside in a nice spring day, I'm a more pleasant person to interact with.
Totally.
I'm in a better mood. I'm more chill. I'm happier. It is good for the soul.
It is. And even if you don't have the opportunity to do it in the morning, step outside at your lunch break. Or if you can't do that, when you go home, just go outside for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Just sit on your porch for a little bit. Let that sunshine hit you. Let that breeze come in. Listen to your surroundings. It makes a big difference, and it does help with your day. Even if you've had a long, stressful day, go for a little walk. And I know that's not rocket surgery, but you can go out there and you can just calm yourself and to reconnect with nature.
Yeah, it's a public service announcement. Please get the hell outside and go enjoy nature.
Go outside.
Go outside.
Go outside and play. All right, Brant. So we talked about the sounds of spring. We really got into what it's like to listen to spring and why it rejuvenates us. What are you taking away? What's your takeaway from this episode?
My takeaway is that I recognize that I really do enjoy just winter leaving and the spring waking up. And then I want to get outside and enjoy that more and share that with more folks. How about you? What's your takeaway?
Yeah, my takeaway is, man, the crack of the bat, baseball, that sort of thing. My favorite month of the year is March, and for so many reasons. But I think all the things that we discussed today really encapsulates why March is one of my favorite month of the year. It's the sunshine, it's the breezes, it's the birds, it's baseball, it's the peepers, it's all those things that just come together. My takeaway is soak it all in, because soon it's going to be summer, and that's a different episode. But appreciate winter for what it's worth. But man, soak it all in for the springtime.
Soak it all in.
Soak it all in.
Sweet. Yeah, next episode we're
going to talk about tinnitus.
Is it tinnitus or tinnitus?
So Doug pronounces it tinnitus.
See? I think we're onto something.
Tinnitus can be really quite debilitating. And if you can't listen clearly, how do you listen?
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be fascinating. So I'm excited to jump into that with you.
Thanks. Me too.
Yeah.
Hey, man, great episode. It's been really enjoyable to not only look outside my beautiful window and see the nature. It's been exciting to. I've enjoyed talking with you, Brant, and really taking in the sounds of spring. I'm going to go outside.
Yeah.
How about you? Are you going to go outside?
Yeah, I'm going to. Any little break I get, I go and spend a few minutes outside, and I'm going to jump back into Zoom calls. But yeah, it is a day to get out there and just go sit.
Awesome. In the description of this podcast, you find more info about this topic and to see a list of sources used.
This podcast is created and produced by Drew Richmond and Brant Christofferson. Editing by me and theme music by Drew.
That's me. All right.
Cool.
Bye, buddy.
Bye.
I am watching two chipmunks have sex. I'm so distracted right
Is this like a YouTube fetish? This is like right outside your window?
Yes. They are having sex in the tree. I'm so sorry. I watched it and then I was like,
it's inside a spring right there.
It couldn't possibly be two chipmunks having sex in a tree. That's exactly what it is, because I'm still watching it. I should stop watching it.
Yeah, give him some privacy. Come on.
They're doing it right in front of my window.
Oh my gosh.
So speaking of spring, and the sound and the sounds of spring. Wow, look at them go. Look at
Oh dear.
Okay. Well, there's that.
Do you want to turn your webcam over there? Or what?
All right. So anyway,